Hey, they're going to show you how to fix a leaky steam wand by either replacing the steam valve or just flipping the seals or replacing the seals. It's usually just if you have a dribble coming out of here. It may not stay dribbling, but just a little, or a sputter or whatever it is. At the back, one here, one here. These come out with a star-shaped head like that. But again, you can... There's a screw in the very first hole along, also one up in the very first hole along. It's up about, I don't know, this high, and it connects the top. Get yourself a long enough screwdriver. Too short, it won't make it. Just twizzle clockwise and just let it drop out. Just let it drop out. Now there are a couple of extra holes behind that first one, so make sure there's two more behind there, so it's the very first one there. Then this should just be able to easily open up. Should just be able to open up pretty easily. Just rest it against the wall or something like that. Then you can get working away. Essentially, this is the part we're interested in, and we're going to need to take off those bits as well. This here is just clipped in, this front bit, so I just get something grippy, bit silicone. Get it on there. There's 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, and then there's one down the dead center. If you've had a leak in here, it may be a bit rusty. Well, you can just pull that off and make sure you fiddle around till you can feel. At this point it can be helpful to have a magnetic one, otherwise you may not be able to get it out. Unlike that one, there's also a little washer thing. Now for here, there's just this little cap, and then we're going to need to undo this part here and this part here. Needle nose pliers to get out this top part here. Be careful, very easy to drop these and lose them to machine. So I just stick it in as far as I can. Not easy to find online, so just be careful with them. Make sure your machine's cooled down at this point, because if you pull this out when it's not cooled down, steam's going to go everywhere. In here, there's a red O-ring. You can get them on eBay for pretty cheap. Not coming out, so I'm just going to shove this in. And that helped. Same deal down here. Something to get enough space, and see, just like that. I nearly lost it. Phew, just saved it. Be more careful than I. That one just flung out, and it could have very easily gone down there, but thankfully it didn't. This time I'm going to use my magnet to take these ones out. And again, not being careful enough, I forgot that there's a little washery thing like that in between them. I think I just lost it. It's just a cap, so it doesn't really matter too much. That's better. Got them both. Shouldn't take too much. Final thing to do. As you can see, I just had to kind of jimmy it open back and forth. This part here wedges in there, so it's just a bit of jimmying back and forth. And again, there's a red O-ring in here. If you've bought a new one, well, you just do the reverse of all that. So take out the O-ring in there, put in the new O-ring, or if it comes here, just pop it on here and make sure that there's an O-ring in here as well before you connect it back up. You should just be able to do the reverse of all that. Stick around if you're gonna flip the seals or replace the seals. To flip the seals, get yourself a 14 and a 15 mil, or first bit off. This one's pretty simple. Got that first part, pop in your 15 into here, get your 14 into these little grooves here. In here there's a wrench flat, find yourself an Allen key. In here it's like glued on or something, so it's quite tight on there, so merely just twisting it can be difficult. I'm sure there are many better ways to do this. Let me know in the comments, but I'm just gonna loosen it. Put a bit of cold water on there. If you have the luxury of having a vise, pop it in a vise, get one of these bad boys and twist it off. It's probably a lot easier. I'm assuming most of you are just doing this at home. I'll go through the struggle with you. Get the right size to start with. If you get the wrong size, you'll strip it bare. And this one is 6 mil. So you've got to be almost willing to break your Allen key. And okay, so essentially the ball's in there. That'll come out. You might want to clean this ball. This top part twists, and as it does, there's a groove here, and it twists the ball open to allow the steam in, closed to stop off the steam. In here, there's the first of our seals. It's a white seal, and here's the second. They're not glued in or anything. Seal one off, and you can see it's divoted. You don't need brand new ones, you can just flip them, but I know some people prefer brand new ones. You might be a bit stressed because it's not divoted. That's fine. What the ball does is it indents into the seal, so over time these will get divoted. If you're just flipping the seals, this one was like that, and literally get it out and turn it over. Given I have them anyway, I'm gonna put a new one in, but flipping the seals works just nicely. There's one. I'm gonna get the other one out of here. Try out some stronger things. Bit of the Allen key, which is metal. Just going from the other side. Given I had a spare one, I chose to just destroy this one. And if it hadn't been destroyed like that one, hopefully you've been more careful. It would have gone in like that. Again, the ball doing it. Flip it around and put it in. Make sure it's flush to the straight bit there. I'm going to line it up with the straight here and just make sure I can push that ball in. Make sure you get yourself some plumber's tape like this, and that'll prevent any further leaks. Doesn't look as nice, obviously, but you won't have as many troubles with a leaking thingo. So shove it in, and then you can put your thing in here. I forgot to film putting that bit on there, but there's an O-ring in there. If you're worried about it, you can take the U-clip off and replace it. If it's not leaking or you're not worried, it should be fine. If this valve here doesn't twist, you've tightened your wrench flat too tightly, so loosen it up a bit and it should twist fine again. There's an O-ring in here. You can either replace that and put one back in there, or you can place it on the steam valve hose itself at the bottom. Either way, doesn't really matter as long as it's sealed. So you can put it on there if you like, or put it straight in. Here's just another angle. You just got to get it in a little hole there. And I didn't mention earlier, but you can take out this piece, which I did. You just need to make sure they line up and that it still spins when you lock those two into place. I had to get two hands to do it. So just locked it into place, double checked that it still spins. If yours doesn't spin, it's probably because you did the bit before too tight, so go back and check that. Put your O-ring on here, put your U-clips in, making sure not to drop them. Maybe use your fingers, put a bit of paper towel underneath. After this step, turn your machine on, check there are no leaks. If there are no leaks, put the cap back on, put everything back in as per the start of the video. If you get a leak out of the center there when you test it, and you should test it, there's actually an O-ring back in this step that may have gone and may be a bit dodgy. So you can just bang it out, and you can see here there's a green O-ring, maybe a bit old. You can just cut it out. You can use a red O-ring, the proper size will work much better. If you use the red O-ring, as I'll mention in a second, make sure you use some plumber's tape as well to supplement, otherwise it'll just leak just the same. If you can get the proper O-ring size, do that. So in the video I haven't used plumber's tape there, but you definitely should, or it will probably leak. Maybe you could even try 2, I'm not sure. Another troubleshooting, if you drop something down here, you can take out the 4 or 5 screws and it'll just drop down the bottom when you lift it up like that.